The Lord said to Cain, "If you act rightly, you will be accepted. But if not, error lies in wait at the door. Yet you can rule over it." And the lyrics and the response are, "Look around, what do I see, good or bad? It's up to me. My world reflects what I believe." Let's say this part. I believe in God the good.
I believe in God the good.
Everywhere and all the time.
Everywhere and all the time.
From Genesis 15. Then the word of the Lord came to Abraham. He took him outside and said, "Look up at the sky and count the stars, if you can." Here's our response. I know there's good in everyone. I know the best is yet to come. Look out, world, because I'm not done. I've only just begun. I'll choose compassion over fear. Let's speak that. I'll choose compassion over fear. Release my love into the atmosphere. Release my love into the atmosphere. Like a single wave in an endless sea. Any change begins with me. Now here's the part so important, Joshua 3. When the children of Israel were ready to cross the Jordan into the promised land, Joshua said to them, "This is how you will know that there is a living God in your midst." And then from Joshua 3, a little later in the verse, no sooner had these priestly bearers of the ark waded into the waters at the edge of the Jordan than the waters flowing from upstream halted, backing up in a solid mass. Thus the people crossed over. And here's our part. And when I feel I'm all alone, one drop of water smooths a stone. This is from the book of Job. You would call and I would answer. Mountains fall and crumble. Rocks move from their place, and water wears away stone. Then the Almighty himself shall be your gold and your sparkling silver. For then you shall delight in the Almighty. You shall lift up your face toward God. He will hear you, and your vows you shall fulfill. What you decide shall succeed for you, and upon your ways light shall shine. Here's our response from the lyrics. To love like crazy, shine like gold, be courageous, break the mold. Can't do it all, but this much is true. I can do what I can do. Now enjoy this powerful music.
Look around, what do I see? Good or bad, it's up to me. My world reflects what I believe. Here's what I believe. I know there's good in everyone. I know the best is yet to come. Look out, world, 'cause I'm not done. I've only just begun. Gonna love like crazy, shine like gold. Thank you.
Really good. These songs that have been written by empowered music and arts artists, for the most part songs that have been written by Sue Riley, have been the soundtrack of my life for the last 30 years or more, and it's helped more than I know how to say, because we are at a place in our human unfoldment when it may feel rather daunting to face all the jobs that we're given. You know, when I was, 15 or so, when my mom and I watched on television when Martin Luther King Jr. gave his I Have a Dream talk. We didn't have to be in charge of the climate of the planet Earth at that time. Who knew? But now we are. And I suppose it is the core of our teaching always to be willing to be 100% responsible for any issue that we see before the children of the earth to meet. We personally, not somebody else, not the government, not the other party, not some other country, not the weather, not God, but God has already given us all these tools. And it turns out it's finally come to this. We'll have to change the way we think. I got this little pin in the mail from Deb Larkin and Carla Washinko, a little blue square. See, it only has on it a hashtag and these words, "Stand up to Jewish hate." And I sent them a love offering, not Carla and Deb, they send us love offerings. But I sent them to this organization, Stand Up to Jewish Hate, and I asked them to send us 100 of these pins. So we'll see if they can get to that. They probably have a great many things to process, but I think it's something that you might consider. Now, I'm a great one for carrying signs. I like the idea, but I realize that it's not everybody's thing. I have children with other opinions, but anybody else have children with other opinions? What a pain in the, wow. It's like, I gave you birth and now you're doing this to me. How dare you? And yet we didn't give birth to them so they would just sit on our laps all the time, although, yeah, they weren't supposed to leave our homes, and they did. And they weren't supposed to have their own lives, but they do. And we worry about them. We think about all the things that they have to deal with. And I remember when Levi had his very first Thanksgiving out in L.A., and we felt it then. He'd gone out there with nothing but the instruments and T-shirts he could fit in his car. Went all the way out there, knew no one. And he's just been appointed a senior product manager for Edmunds. A huge company. Wow. And then, which pleased Mama, someone with whom he used to play some music, has invited him to be a fill-in pianist for a very successful Christian music artist. And I always wanted to see him on the stage. Kind of a stage mom, so I wondered if he'd given up music, but I guess music hasn't given him up, so that's good. But we do worry. It's our job, we think it is. And when I knew that the tropical storm was coming their way in LA last week or so, and that he had a lot of expenses trying to remodel a townhouse in Marina Del Rey, terrible, he's having to do that. But I worried, and then he sent us this text, which is really kind of priceless, because I was genuinely worried about him, and because I thought that would help. It doesn't. But and he wrote back, he said, "I was very concerned about my finances until I got my tax refund from the IRS today." And he texted a photograph of the check he got from the IRS, $1 even. So sometimes it's the little things, and we are taught, bless what you have. even if it seems like not enough. So I bless the body temple. I bless the good that's here. And there's so much to bless. This carpeting is absolutely gorgeous, isn't it? I love it. Beautiful. So we didn't even have to put it in. We went away, we came back, and there it was. Wow, I loved it. And now we're getting ready for a storm. Oh, I meant to tell you, when he had his first Thanksgiving out there in L.A., he was invited by Empower artist Faith Rivera, wonderful person and a wonderful singer, songwriter. And they welcomed Russ and I to join their group, relatives and family. And some of those relatives have lost everything in this last firestorm. And so we remember what they told us. They said, we are all Ohana, one family. And this seems to be a great opportunity for humankind, especially in these times, and especially for me, because I've wondered, do you ever wonder when you're seeing something on TV, maybe you're out in a public place and there's the television and the news is on and you look around, you're like, am I the only adult in the room? I understand what's going on here. Everybody get together and people don't always agree with you. Such a shock to me. And people are working out their own answers and they are allowed to. You know, we've sometimes been told, well, the way those people live or the way those people are, it's just a choice. Just a choice? That's our freedom. If it's a choice, then it's yours to make. That's the whole point. It's yours to make. So I talk a lot. You've noticed that. People have walking meditation. I have talking meditation. By the time I get to the end of it, I've talked myself into a better answer if I just keep going. So my husband's response is usually, I've tested him, though. He doesn't always know what I was just saying. What did I just say? Whatever it was right, dear. Absolutely right. So I was getting in the car with Russ. We're going somewhere, doctor's appointment or something, and I said, will you just please tell me that everything will be all right? That's all. Just tell me that. And he, turning on the car, and in that instant, because the radio is already set for 70s music, because that was the best, right? And the song that came on in that instant was the song that was a hit record by Firefall. And our own David Muse, who passed almost a year ago, just a year ago, just over. Dear husband of Patty Muse, who's listening online, and I heard the words. I started to cry when I heard it. Just remember I love you, and it'll be all right. I thought, thank you, because I remember talking with David on the phone, and he had a similar diagnosis, and him saying, just go through it. It'll be all right. And it was like a message from him and from Spirit. There is a balm in Gilead. There is a healing. See, I've asked myself 1,000 times and asked Russ too, why does anybody come to Unity? Why does anybody listen online? You've got to have a computer and have it set up. And if you come here, you've got to get in the car and go across town, and it's Sunday, and you want to sleep late, and you have other stuff to do, and listen to this old girl up here with these problems that she's facing, and there's no church building, and you can't even have coffee, and that's where it starts to get this wonderful self-pity that I can really get into. And then I realized, when I heard that record come on the radio, there's a moment when no matter how difficult things seem, how hopeless. I remember going to the Holocaust Museum and asking the speaker there, but is there anything really that we can do besides carry the signs or wear the pins? And she said, it's been said, never underestimate the changes that a small group of people can make if they're sincerely committed. Not if they've been committed, but if they're sincerely committed. And then I remembered that I asked the question of Rabbi Arthur once, why do we carry signs? I carried a Black Lives Matter sign and was laughed at and spit at and those kinds of things. And Rabbi said, well, someone was carrying a sign and someone else said to the person, don't you realize you'll never change these other people's minds? And the bearer of the sign said, I carry this so that they don't change me. So that I remember I'm not on the side of Jewish hate. I'm on the side of Jewish love. I'm not on the side of white supremacy. What a ridiculous idea. It's ridiculous. We are children of God together, co-equals in the infinite presence. There it is. And voting, as the great speaker said on the news today, is our passport. So vote and think and pray and affirm and say what's true. I love repeating things I've heard somebody say on TV that I think is a real dunce, and look what they said. But you know what? It isn't really the ideal response. It's the little things, the short responses that say, well, bless his heart. You're from the South, so you know what that means. To lift your heart with those small ideas that are but vast. Abi Janamanchi was the minister at the UU Church so many years ago, and I wrote to him to let him know that we were going to be sharing a service at UU, and that we were here at Beth Shalom, and had been at Temple B'nai Israel, and he was just so filled with joy. So he congratulates us, and is glad we're all worshiping together, because that's the way it goes. We're worshiping together. And we shouldn't be discouraged. We know that. Pray without ceasing. I read in the e-news of Abi's church that someone discovered that there were some honeybees. Bees had made a nest right outside a hive, the sanctuary, and were finding their way inside. So they were going to move their services to a fellowship hall because the honeybees were to be carefully removed by experts. That they would take such care to do it is very encouraging. So you may think, well, it's a small thing. It doesn't make a difference in the world. It does to the bees. It's like that story of the starfish where the father said, we're throwing some back out to the ocean, those that are stranded. And they said, but it doesn't really make a real difference. And the answer was, it does to those starfish that we threw back. So every little thing is something you can do. And when you hear someone say, or when you hear yourself say, what are you going to do? That seems to be an expression of exasperation. What are you going to do? As though there's nothing you're going to do. You're going to forget about it. But you're not. And even one positive word sets forth a flow of energy in the infinite that is welcomed by the universe. And I needed it. We don't have magic answers. I'd love to have some crystals for sale, some special sage that you burn, or supplements that you take. Not that you shouldn't, take whatever you want, do whatever seems to help you, but God can work through anything but a closed mind. So be open to all kinds of possibilities. And if it helps you to move the, the mouse of your computer to the other side, as I've done, to spare my right hand, do that. It's not magic. It's good sense. And it shows your willingness to do whatever it takes. We will do what it takes. We don't have a magic wand like Harry Potter or a ring like Lord of the Rings, my precious. We don't have that. I don't have a cloak of invisibility. That would be handy, wouldn't it? Everybody says that. And I don't care if it rains or freezes as long as I have my plastic. Absolutely. Where are the rest of you? You're not listening. I like mysteries solved and answers given. And I actually like when I fall asleep at night, or if I get to rest on a Sunday afternoon, I put on a mystery show that I know will be solved in an hour. I know when I wake up, it's handled. So it becomes a sort of a prayer practice for me. But this last 3 years or so, it's been hard. And yet it's been good. I've grown. I don't know if I could have grown this much without it. So I'm thankful for all of it. You know, we read that story, the book of Job, and we've sometimes, why'd they put that in the Bible? Such a hard story. Well, it works out. And it works out because of what Job realized. He said, I know that in my flesh I shall see God. And I know that my Redeemer lives. He's not speaking of a personality, however grand. Not a Buddha, not a Moses, not a Jesus, but that infinite presence that is beyond all limitation. The able to do all things. Emma Curtis Hopkins said that was the good name for God, the able to do all things. Or as Edwin Gaines says, Big Sweetie. It's also another good name that will take care of whatever you will place in God's care. Now, I thought deeply about feeling like there's nothing I can do. When I go to the Florida Cancer Specialist Center, I see people that had to endure what we had to endure. The doctor whom you trust, and you're hoping for your miracle from that person and that treatment, says, it's all we can do. You think, wait a minute, are you talking to me? You can't be talking to me, because everything works out for me. And I went through the kinds of things that I was thinking, that I see on others' faces when they're given those diagnoses. And I thought about this. The first reaction is, nothing more you can do. That can't be true. We're in denial. Can't be true. There must be something more I can do. And then we think, there must be something else that somebody else can do. There must be something else that can happen. Maybe they made a mistake in the lab. Maybe they didn't read the x-ray right. There must be something that I can make somebody else do. Something that I can force to happen. And then you finally get to the place you do where you give up. You give up. And then you give over. First, you realize that I humanly can do nothing about this. I can take the steps that I can take, but in the long run, it's out of my hands. So in whose hands shall I place it? It's in God's hands. Your sacred love. And something is happening, though I may not see it. Now that's where the ego has to open its hands and be still. No more talking. No more crying. You let it be. It's what you do. I get to see prayer requests, and it's a constant flow. I handle them all. Well, I don't handle them. I take them in my hands, and I give them to God, who handles them. But most people, it seems, pray saying, I know that God is in charge of this. But a number of people still pray in the way we may have done formerly, saying, pray that he'll change his mind. Pray that she'll change her mind. And I don't believe in hopelessness, but that one, that's hopeless. It's hopeless. I've tried it. Every kind of manipulation you can imagine, but it doesn't work. But when things break through, it's when you realize, I can't fix this. God, it's all yours. And there's a moment there, and that's why we come. A moment in the affirmations, a moment in the readings, a moment in this little talk, a moment in the music, especially powerful because people often remember songs, not sermons. And there's such relief. And you know, and if it's something you don't know, you know that God does. And it's sweet. It's sweet. I read this in Lessons in Truth. Remember, 1894, a long time ago. You have now come to know that at the center of your being, God, omnipotent power, ever lives from the nature of your relationships to God and by God's own immutable laws. You may become conscious of his presence and eternally abide in him and he in you. The moment that one Spirit, even the Father, being made manifest in the Son, ever lives at the center of all human beings, you will know that you can cease forever from any undue anxiety about bringing others into the same external fold that he is in. Here's the center of it. If your friend or your son or your spouse or your brother does not see truth as you see it, do not try to, by repeated external argument, to convert him. It is not you that must lift up your brother. The Holy Spirit, or Christ within, Spirit of life within, will lift that one up. And to you, no, not to your opinion. That's not your job. But to that person's own inner being and power and life. And here's the one that really stayed with me. You do not know what God wants to do in that other person. You never can know. Ooh. Then I can't pray for that person in the slavery of addiction, or the person in jail that I can't break out, or the person in the horrible relationship. No. You can pray with. You can know the truth with, for, behold, answers, but you don't get to determine exactly what they're going to do. And where do the problems come? When we believe there's a problem of separateness. If we believe we're in a universe where good and evil are perpetually wrestling, they shall fight forever. Strive not against evil. See the good. Say the good. Stand up for the good and do the good that you can do. For ideas must manifest, even when it seems hopeless. Now, I do often resonate to music, and I began thinking of music that seemed like songs that promised an answer. And I like this one, If I Had $1 Million. You've never heard of that? Yep, see, the hip people in here, part of it. And who made that record? What band? Absolutely. So I was thinking what a cute advertising stunt it would be to put out on Facebook that people can come to Unity to see our own bare naked ladies. But Karen and Sue wouldn't go along with it, so we couldn't do it. You see, if it makes you laugh, it's good. But in that song, it says, if I had $1 million, I'd buy you a fur coat. Oh, but not a real fur coat, because that's cruel. And I'd buy you a green dress, not a real green dress, because that's cruel. I'd buy you an exotic pet. And then I realized my husband has always secretly wanted a monkey. And I have told him, no, dear, you can have a monkey, but not with me at the same time. Because their little hands open things, refrigerators, drawers, everything. And you're all I can handle. And he said, but I want the kind of monkey like Lancelot Link that had a top hat and a little tuxedo that you never have to change. I don't think Lancelot Link changed himself, but that's just my thing. So I don't want a monkey. I don't want 12 days of Christmas. How many partridges in a pear tree can you have? And you begin to realize I also don't want an emu. Those commercials, Liberty Mutual, that's what emu, very slick. I don't wish to ride around with an emu. I want them to be happy. Have whatever emus want, and I don't really go along with subliminal tapes. It was a grand idea, wasn't it? I tried it. Actually, somebody gave me some subliminal tapes. Play this music, and it's supposed to make you accomplish some project better. But I didn't like the music very much. I wanted something else. And I found out that if you put on a song that you just like, it'll make you do what you want to do. If you just have it in your mind, this is going to be the soundtrack of me getting this project done. And I found out that Luai is pretty good. It works pretty good. It's hard to beat that. And good music. I actually used to have a clicker on my car keys because I often misplaced them then and now. And so I had a clicker that if you clapped, it would click, click, and you could find your car keys. It was pretty nifty, but I found that you had to clap your hands with rhythm. I don't know how they programmed it. And I tried a lot of ways, and it wouldn't click, and I couldn't find it. And then I realized that there's one song that always worked, and it started like this. Let me see if you can name the song. Trivia question. Way up in the woods among the evergreens, there stood a log cabin made of earth and wood, where lived a country boy named... Okay, you're hip, that's it. Anyway, his mother told him, someday you will be a man, and you will be the leader of a big old band. And then someday your name will be up in lights saying, go, 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 Johnny, go, click, click. It always worked. So I have found that song can get you out of a funk. Go, let it go. It works. You just do it. You just do it. And then I did a little review, and I should probably start to bring it home with that. A review of I Can't songs that I don't want to sing in the same spirit. If I sing them, I'm speaking of the human part of me. I can't help falling in love with you. Okay. I can't get no satisfaction. I can learn to be satisfied with what is. I can't give you anything but love, baby, so I love more. I can't smile without you. And as Ween Gain told her second husband, try. Yes. I love that. And this one, let me see if you can name the group that made this. Every time I try to walk away, something makes me turn around and stay. I can't tell you why. The Eagles, of course. Most songs that are hits, you say, the Eagles, you'll have a good chance of winning anyway. And I thought about times we say, I can't or I won't. I won't. Yes, I will. Move into willing and move into acceptance. God desires mercy, not sacrifice. And then I began to think about my favorite I Can't song. And it is a meditation. And if ever you feel that something you're trying to do is not working, somebody won't give in, they won't change their mind, the city of Clearwater won't issue the permits, the architect won't send the plans, all those things, and the oncologist won't give you the report that you want, you just remember this. Now, let me see, what was the line it started with? I can make you love me if you don't. You can't make your heart feel something it won't. So you give up the fight. And I love that line. So here in the dark of these final hours, I will lay down my heart and I'll feel the power. So on Tuesday, when I get that PET scan, I'm not going to go sad. When I lay on that table, I'll lay down my heart, because that's where the radiation was centered, right about here. And I'll feel the power. I'll give up the fight, and God will take over. And what I know is that we got the plan signed. We did it. And now we're going to get the permits tomorrow. So you can think of all the reasons that I have and you have to live. That's what you can do. Thank you. That's it. You're mighty good for me. I remember when my mom and I watched that speech on the television, and when he put his notes down and he said, I have a dream. I didn't remember all the words, but I looked at my mama's face, and she said, follow this man. He's right. That's what we do. I ask you to take your gifts of love and substance into your hands and know that even the small things that you do and give and say and think and speak are building the house not made with hands. Let's speak our blessing. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, Father, Mother, God. And let's dwell in that consciousness as we share our love. Let's sing.
I am so thankful for every blessed moment, and I give it gratitude. My heart is open, my spirit is rejoicing, and I give it gratitude. I give my thanks to God. 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 I give my
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. We bless this offering of love and substance. We see it radiating forth and multiplying the blessings for Beth Shalom, for Temple B'nai Israel, for all of our dear ones all over the world, for our families, for ourselves, for our church, for our world. Thank you, God. And so it is. Amen. Now let's rise as we are able. Those who would like to sing on the 17th, please plan to be at UU at 7 on Wednesday, the 13th of September. And it would be so incredible if a big group showed up and we appeared to be the Mormon Tabernacle Choir. I mean, think big, right? Yeah. Let's share our prayer for protection. Believe me, I'm soaking up the light as you speak it. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. and all is well. God bless you. Have a wonderful week. There's a lot you can do, and it starts with just being you. We'll see you soon. They're going to sing us on the way home. First, we're going to sing I Choose Love. See you soon.
Peace in my life is growing because I choose love. Love's always present is what I'm made of. I choose love. We are part of each other. We are one tie that binds us that can't be undone. I choose love. Peace for our planet is growing because I choose love. Let love be present, it's what we're made of. I choose love. We are part of each other. We are one. One choice unites